Hello and welcome to This is Diana. I'm your host, Diana Navarro from thisisdiana.com. Today we're going to take a few moments, and first of all, let me thank you for sharing these precious moments with me. And we're going to talk about an excerpt of my memoir and resilience guide. And it also is available on the website if you like reading rather than listening to a podcast, but you are here, so let's have fun. This is a particular topic on particular steps, specific steps that you can take, that I personally have taken. You can take them as suggestions or at least inspiration for your own plan. It has to be unique to you. These steps are for pain, stress, and trauma alleviation, relief, and also steps for anti-aging, because we want to stay as youthful and healthy as possible for as long as we can. Why not? So this is a continuation of a podcast and also a chapter that I shared of my memoir. So it is connected. Some things will be new. Some things will be connected and might even be repeated if they're really important, like sleep. So the first thing is, I'm going to talk to you about just, again, this whole self-care process, which to me, it really truly is, honestly, self-honoring. So this self-care not only helps alleviate chronic pain and stress, but it works wonders for helping you feel better and look better. And for those in their stage in their life that don't want to age painfully and look aged, this will work naturally and as part of the process. So we're going to start with something that seems really, really basic, but guess what? It is something that many people don't do. I learned a long time ago not to take any of these things for granted, not to assume that people know this stuff, because many people don't on this planet. There are too many of us that are living around with very minimal information, convoluted information, misinformation. So bear with me, take a deep breath, and let's get started. Speaking of deep breath, the first thing I want to talk to you is about conscious breathing, water, and food. I'm grateful for my senses, as limited as they may be. They bring me pleasure, they bring me pain, they make me human. Mindful meditation, being present, being in the now, and conscious breathing help me tremendously when I am in pain, stressed, and anxious. I literally make a note to breathe and drink water. I make a note, whether it's on my device, electrical device, or on a piece of paper, or on my journal. And I glance at it, or I use it, or I use an alarm, and I say, drink, take a deep breath right now, 2 or 3. And I personally, especially if you're in times of crisis and times of insecurity and turbulence, to be somewhere in a place that you can wear something that is physically comfortable, as in comfortable clothing, something that you can enjoy their taste, that is non-toxic, fragrances that you can smell, that are close to nature, pleasing sounds like ocean waves or soft rhythmic sounds or beautiful music. All of these things stimulate your different senses. And when it comes to your personal space, keep that space as clean as possible, clear, organized whenever possible. I know there are people that work really well with lots of things around them, and they find that very creative, and whatever works for you, great. But if it isn't working for you, and trust me when I tell you that cluttered, bogged down, dusty, dirty places aren't really conducive to health and mental clarity. So a little feng shui, the art of placement, goes a long way. So one of the things that I hear so much about in diet and pain management is, and believe me, I get dizzy thinking about this, is diet, this diet, that diet, this particular, thing, paleo versus vegan versus vegetarian versus, XYZ. And in the meantime, the industries that are putting this out there, a lot of them are, making a lot of money while leaving the average person confused and sometimes broke. That's not cool. But I'm not here to advocate or attack. What I'm here to say is that you need to find something that works for your particular physiology, for your body, for your age, for your gender if necessary. There are some differences in gender. There are differences in age. There are some differences in ethnicity and DNA. And ultimately, in general, it's good to stay hydrated as much as possible with water, fresh, clean water if possible, vegetables, fruits, good sources of protein and mixed grains that are healthy. And this is not a secret. I have my own vices and my own issues. And one of them is sugar. I do have an addiction to sugar. Sugar was introduced in my diet as a baby. And many people in my generation, 70s, 80s, 90s, of course before that as well, had that a lot in their diet. A lot of processed white flour and breads and sugars and candies and cereals. So it's in my system. It was in my system as a very young child. So every day I know that a lot of these chemicals that are in these super processed foods are not healthy. They're not healthy for me, and I feel it. I suffer from conditions that people shouldn't be suffering from eating this. But I work on it. I work on it really hard against the best I could. Doesn't mean that I don't indulge in my addiction occasionally. But the thing is, I pick myself up and I get back on track. And I have a certain section in my life where I do make permission to have certain things. Because otherwise, I'm going to be like Ralph Cramden in The Honeymooners and eat a whole cake by myself with frosting and all that stuff. We don't want to do that. We want to do things balanced, intelligently, and always provide pleasure to our senses. They'll make things miserable. You can have things that are good, delicious, and healthy. It doesn't have to be one or the other. And when you're trying to weed off of certain things, like, for example, sugars, there are things that you can add to your regular diet, what you eat throughout your day, that can introduce the sweetness and reduce your cravings. So even if you do indulge in your craving and in your sweetness, you can do it in a moderate level. You're not going all out and getting yourself off balance. Some of these include certain fruits. I didn't like fruits. I didn't like anything natural because I didn't know what it was like. Everything was processed growing up. But I learned to eat certain fruits and experiment with fruits. And there are certain things like cherries and strawberries and blueberries and certain things that I really enjoyed eating. So I added them the best I can. The better, the fresher, the more organic, of course, the better. But if I can get it in any way, shape, or form, I will. And there are certain things like regular foods like, sweet potatoes and certain cocoa and certain things you can add to your regular food that you can add that sweetness that is good for you, that is really good for you, and reduce the cravings in other places and other ways. So you're going to see this. You can, again, check my website if you have any questions. If you missed any of this, thisisdiana.com, and I'm going to repeat that throughout the show so you can just remember and have that as a resource. So again, especially the fresher the food, or more you can afford it. If you can't afford it, just do a little bit at a time. There is stuff out there that is available that is, from farmers markets or even in your local supermarket that is organic. Just buy a smaller amount if you can't afford the full amount. But there are ways. Start slow and work your way up. So that's basics. And again, drink as much fresh water as you can. Some people like juices. If you do it in moderation. I'm not a fan of sodas, even though I grew up on that. If you can reduce that, do that. But there's much more to discuss, so let's get to it. So next, into the pain alleviation, anxiety alleviation, and youth, the search for youth, is one of my most favorite topics. And it's favorite because I have made it into my life plan, my life purpose, to share information about sleep and dreams. Dream and sleep. Absolutely. I am writing a whole book on this, a full-length book on dream and sleep. Sleep is extremely important to us as human beings. It is important. It is important in the awakening process. So I'm going to use that as an oxymoron, but it is. If you want to awaken spiritually, emotionally, be better physically, sleep more, sleep better. Okay? As I said, I'm writing a full-length book on dreams, books, sleep spaces, space designs that make sleep better, all forthcoming. In the meantime, this is what I have to share. We have made and vilified sleep, and that is just a way of society keeping us moving in ways that are not productive. Most people are not even living in a happy, healthy, productive life. They're moving like automatons, except they're not. We are not robots. We are biological beings. We are chemical, biochemical, spiritual, emotional beings. So yes, there is a chemical component to us, a mechanical, but there also is a human, emotional, spiritual that goes with the physiological. So many sleep experts are going to give you a lot of information that if you do any type of search, an internet search, some type of library search, or however people are researching these days, you're going to find that a lot of the same information keeps popping up. That's because those search engines and those libraries have a lot of information that it is easiest to access, and thus from huge research laboratories and pharmaceuticals and good neurologists and very good meaning doctors. But the information isn't full, it's not complete, and it's really outdated and convoluted into a way and mismatched in a way that is making us very unhealthy. So in today's world, whether we're in the middle of a pandemic, a natural disaster, we are in the middle of a transitioning world technologically, the whole 9-to-5 world of the industrial complex is crumbling. Whether you believe it or not, and you want to stick to that or not, even if you're retired and you're thinking, but that's the way it is. It isn't. And this is a wake-up call. And that I mean purposely. People are traveling or communicating globally to different time zones. So we have to really step it up, and we have to find out, well, when should I sleep? When could I sleep? How can I sleep that I am the most rested and restored? Why are there so many sleeping issues and disorders in this world? What is insomnia? What is all of this? Now, I happen to be so fascinated with this because I've always had what I call in my book, oddball, very oddball sleeping needs, very strange needs. I am the extreme. I am telling you, most people, I don't think I know anybody at the moment except for a few people, handful of people out there that have the schedule that I do, which I have hypersomnia, and it's called idiopathic hypersomnia. You don't have to be diagnosed by a doctor to know this. If you need to sleep tremendous amount of time because you're so fatigued and exhausted, you sleep a lot, 10, 12, 20 hours, sometimes 24 hours. Sometimes people in the extreme form can sleep a few days at a time. I do not have that. Those are specific forms of hypersomnia that people really, really do have. I am fortunate enough not to have that, but I do have a situation where I do need to sleep quite a bit, more than the average person. What does that mean? That means I have more information about sleeping than most people, not only because I'm sleeping, but because I'm doing work on it when I'm awake and research on it. I'm also doing work while I'm sleeping. It's called dreaming. I happen to remember my dreams because I sleep more than the average person. And also I do things that try to keep me or gain spiritual awakening and enlightenment as much as possible. We're all in this journey. And I am no farther along than anyone else. But I am working on it. I continue to work on it. And one of the ways is to work with sleep and dreams. Sleep work, dream time. And that is so important. If you are very interested in this, or not very interested but curious, if you want to know about sleep schedule, sleep spaces, dreams, defining dreams, what dreams are, what sleep paralysis is, all kinds of things, let me know. Contact me. thisisdiana.com, because even before my book is out, I am providing information. I don't want anybody to suffer from lack of sleep or painful experiences during sleep. So, with that said, let's move on to the next subject, which is connected to sleep. The more restored you are, the more restful sleep you get. For some people, they only need 4 hours of sleep. They're called short sleepers. Very rare. They're almost as rare as the long sleepers, the people that need a lot of sleep like me, but they do exist. But as long as you're restored, healthy in every other way, it's okay. This will have incredible benefits. How else can we relieve pain? Can we feel good? And can we look young in addition to working on our sleep? Let's talk about that now. So congratulations, here we are. We're talking about sleep, we're talking about eating well, drinking water, and hopefully you're in a place right now that even if you are in some type of pain, some type of distress, even an emergency, that this will provide at least some answers or a gateway for you to begin. Let's hope, let's put our intention towards that. And if we work on it, believe me, healing will occur. So if we do and have the opportunity to eat, sustain our bodies physically, get the rest, then we honor ourselves in an additional way. How? By taking care, again, part of the self-care, taking care of ourselves, not only internally, but externally. That's grooming and honoring our physical self. This goes a long way into feeling confident, lifting our self-esteem, improving our emotional health, which in turn adds fuel to our physical health, adds youth to our body. So, and this is what beauty is. Beauty is not only in the eye of the beholder, but beauty is something a lot more than that. It's a presence that we share with ourselves and with the world. It doesn't have to be a particular eye shape, eye color, skin color, height, weight, none of that. None of that. Some of that stuff is aesthetically attractive. Some of it is interesting. Some of it's funny. But how we present ourselves to ourselves and to the world, even if it's a limited world, if you think, even if it's a virtual world, has an effect. It has an effect. And as I mentioned, hygiene and grooming, and it's important. Okay, the grooming and the hygiene, specifically the cleansing of ourselves, it's more important than some people realize. And people say, and I've heard this a lot with people who have fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, a lot of other like Lyme disease or physical illnesses. Even people that have hypersomnia, that excessive sleepiness, will say, well, I'm embarrassed to say this, but sometimes I don't want to bathe. I don't want to clean myself. I don't want to shower. I'm too tired and in too much pain. Get it? I hear you. I absolutely feel you. I understand how painful it can be. And there are people that can't even do it on their own because of a physical ailment, because of their age. They need help and assistance in hygiene and in cleansing and grooming. But if you are able to take care of yourself, if you're able to do it in a way that doesn't hurt you more, then I highly encourage you to make that extra effort to cleanse yourself whatever way you can. Our skin, it is our largest organ. I'm going to say this over and over again. When I was studying nursing back in high school, long time ago, and biology, and I was interested in pre-med, then psychology, and a combination of all of these. I remember learning physiology and anatomy and being fascinated by the fact that our skin is our largest organ. We need this organ. Has to be clean, safe, nurtured, protected. And things will happen. We'll get cut, burned, scratched, injured. But there are ways that we need to keep this cleansed and taken care of and nurtured. It is a way to health. It is a way to completeness and wholeness. And I highly recommend that you make that extra effort. And as much as we don't want to, and as painful as it may be to drag ourselves to the bathroom or use, whatever method you use, wipes. Some people need to resort to wipes. Some people resort to, if they can, baths, like full-fledged baths, being in water, whatever it is you use. It is important to keep yourself and your body, your skin cleansed, protected from viruses, bacteria, all kinds of germs, toxins, dirt, and pollutants that accumulate around us. It just happens. It happens as a virtue of being alive on this planet. Cleanse, take care of yourself, and also protect yourself afterwards. Some people may need medication on their skin. Some people may need medication on their, or just not even medication, but something to protect themselves, their skin afterwards. There are lots of things that are, ranging from natural to luxury items that you can use. Whatever works for you, lotions, creams, serums, all kinds of things that you can use to protect your skin. Sunblock, for instance, or your sun protection if you're out in the sun a lot. And all kinds of things you can do to groom and take care of yourself. You don't have to load yourself with things if, you're sensitive to scents or perfumes. You don't have to do that. However, if you are the person that loves it and is sensitive in the way that they like to smell it, there are things that are healthy, natural, beautiful that you can put on yourself and around yourself that can help you, that can assist you, that can also help in the whole process of grooming and beautying and self-honoring in this way. It's subjective, but it's also important. And this inspired me because again, the aging process, and I'm so honored that when somebody thinks that I'm younger than I am, but I am what I am, and I am the age that I am, and I am older. And it inspired me because people ask me over and over again, what are you using? What do you do? To share that information, to share what it is, the techniques that I use. I even created my own beauty brand, or branded a brand that I will share with you and continue to share with you in various places and sources, including on my website and on the transcribed version of this post and this podcast. So remember, although beauty is subjective, you can be the most beautiful you can be. And trust me, you can be. Taking care of yourself is the way. So now that we're done with that, we are getting closer to the midway part, and I want to share with you our next topic. Okay, so now we have you're clean, you're hydrated, you're eating, you're sleeping. There are other things we can do as well. We can use our senses to manifest all kinds of wonderful things. Listening to beautiful sounds, I mentioned that briefly earlier. We can meditate, and meditation is a big topic. I get it, I understand. It could be a little bit overwhelming. But don't worry, there's tons of resources. Again, you can contact me. I can send you tons of resources on that. And some of them are very simple. The simpler, the better. And for me, 30 seconds of just concentrating on my breathing can seem like an eternity, but it does wonders. Conscious breathing to the most complex type of transcendental meditation. Whatever works for you is what works. Other people find singing, chanting, using your creativity and imagination, and to be very healing, to relieve pain. And one of the things I wrote about in my book, and I have here and I have on the excerpt, is, again, because of my pain, my hyper need for sleep, chronic fatigue, I found this Sanskrit chant that helps me relax and helps me tap into the energy source, the source of everything in the universe. I don't know how it works, except that the words in Sanskrit, the ancient language, and of course I provide the definition so you know what you're saying, but also the sound they provide gives you a source of energy, what is called prana in certain cultures, or chi in certain cultures, life force. And in this particular case, it's called Pavan Guru. And you just chant Pavan Guru. And the full chant is very short, but it's in the book. I don't need to say it now because we could talk about that in future sessions. But please do check it and see if it resonates with you. And believe me, you will feel it in your system. It might take a few minutes, or it might take for you to try it a few days, but you will feel enough energy to move. Just enough to do what you need to do. And that's all you need. And then you can practice and practice and practice and gain the life source that you need in your life. Trust me, nobody is more exhausted and more, so much pain sometimes than me. And I don't know, I'm just so grateful that I found this right through my search. This beautiful little chant along with all these resources. Now let's move to the next subject. This one is kind of fun. Once you get to the point, and you will get to this point, where you are nurtured, you're drinking water, you're giving yourself time. This is not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. You will feel better. That drink of water you'll take goes a long way. Just got to keep at it. Resilience, stick-to-itiveness, keep going, perseverance, okay? Until it becomes a habit, until it becomes a part of you. And you're getting enough rest, and you're working on getting enough rest, and you're working on your dream life and your dream world, which is just as real as this world, the waking world. And you're working on your diet and your nutrition and your self and your physicality and your appearance. You also have to remember there are other things for us to move on. We have to move our body. And just telling you right now that you're going to have, and you will have, the motivation and the energy to move your body must sound to certain people like the impossible dream. Pun intended. Where some people do have such a tremendous amount of pain in their body. Again, having fibromyalgia and the arthritis and injuries that I have and the chronic fatigue, I can tell you that movement, proper posture, exercises, stretches go a long way. They have to be an integral part of your routine and the new you. They have to be, because you're going to have the energy, and you have to work the energy and internalize the energy and then release the energy. It's a cycle of life. It's what some people call samsara. And I love Sanskrit and some cultures that are so illuminating, Eastern cultures. So again, movement, posture, exercises. That means that even if it means standing up a little bit more frequently, gentle stretches, there are specific stretches, there are videos, there are audios, there are photographs that you can look at, there are people you can contact, there are chats, there are resources out there, books, all kinds of ways that you can find what is best for you under your circumstances and for your pain or for your limitations. So yes, move as much as you don't think you want to move. Sometimes you feel like you're just going to go there and just die and never move again. But as long as you have that life source, the source of spirit and the source of existence in you, you will be able to. And again, there are things that you can use, gentle stretches, just even sometimes chanting, like I said, or yoga positions and postures. So even listening to music, even listening to something can make you want to stand up and gently move, and then you can increase that. There are things you can put. There are essential oils and scents, sounds. Again, using all the senses that you do have. Use them. Use whatever senses you have and maximize their use. If drink refreshing, wonderful, liquids that help you feel that energy inside of you. If they're healthy liquids that can do that. So again, move and this in collaboration and in addition to things I said before, do help. And every little bit helps. And let me tell you, this is going to be the part where we're going to conclude. But it is sometimes the most difficult part for me to discuss, because it's the part of having to use additional things you don't necessarily want to use, but that will help you if you use them carefully, gently, and with mindfulness. So let's get to that right now. So the first thing I want to tell you is I don't enjoy taking medications and pills. I'm not a big fan of pharmaceuticals and, vaccines and all that stuff. But sometimes science and technology have provided us, humanity, with breakthroughs and things that are really helpful. This is when you have to use your common sense, do your due diligence, research, and your discernment. Check with your gut, check with your heart, and make sure that what you're using is the right thing. Do your research. Don't just ask other people. What works for them may not work for you, or what doesn't work for them may work for you. So I'm going to tell you what worked for me, and I'm going to tell you the disclaimer. I'm not suggesting you try any of these. I am simply telling you that these are things that work for me and have worked for other people. when I was having super, super, super severe panic attacks, I mean, I've suffered from panic attacks since I was a child. So, if whatever the cause may be, PTSD or panic attacks, sometimes all you want this feeling not to come. It is the worst feeling you can possibly have, that you're going to die, you're going to explode, or you don't exist, or whatever form it comes. To me, I happen to have been put on a medication. If I could do it all again, I honestly would not have gotten on it, but it did help me. And I will not really, I mean, it's in the book, but I don't think it's necessarily for me to share it, because I don't want anybody to think that I'm not promoting it, and I really don't think it works for a lot of people. And getting off of it, it's extremely, extremely difficult. And if you don't take your medication, you go through extreme side effects, even a few hours after not taking it. So, but it is in my book, and it is written because it is something I took. However, there are other things that I took for the panic attacks that I learned helped very, very much. And in retrospect, of course, 2020 vision, retrospect, I could have continued with that, and that is simple flaxseed oil. I took flaxseed oil. I'll say that again, and it worked wonders. It really did help calm me down. It didn't mean I didn't have panic attacks at all, or didn't have anxiety attacks. They continued, but they were much more controllable, manageable. They didn't come as frequently. And I took the gel caps in my particular case, but you can, add it to different parts of your diet. Flaxseed is wonderful to add to your food. It's actually very healthy. If you don't have any allergic reaction or any issues with it, I would, consider exploring and doing research and see if it works for you. For me, I also found that taking magnesium orally and topically also did an incredible job in helping me relax. I particularly take it before I go to sleep, whenever that is. If you're a day person or a night person, it's very relaxing, but it's a mineral that we really, really need. And the reason I took it, it wasn't for it to relax me. It was because I was having tremendous heart palpitations, and I was put on this prescription medication, and taking it, and it really didn't help, and I knew it wasn't good for me. And it turns out the magnesium took care of the problem, and it's natural. It so happens I had a deficiency, and I'm so much better. So much better now. In addition to that, I take vitamin D, specifically because I'm a nocturnal, but primarily a nocturnal person. I sometimes become diurnal. I am a day person sometimes, but I'm mostly a night person. And vitamin D was super lacking in my system, like it is for a lot of people for some reason. It's just not enough of it in our natural diets. And it helped me. It helps me with my energy. It helped me in many, many ways. So I take it, and I try not to miss taking it. Other supplements or natural things you can take include turmeric and or curcumin. That's called the active ingredient in turmeric. But turmeric is an herb. It's a spice. Believe it's a spice is the correct term that you can use in your food. You can use it in your natural life. They have supplements, and for a lot of people, it helps their inflammation tremendously. And I'm not going to say it was like a miracle worker for me, but it did help. It helped in the whole, protocol of routine that I was taking. But if you can't afford it, I would just use it in your food if possible, and skip the supplements. It could be a little pricey. Another supplement that I've taken at times is SAMe. That's on, of course, you'll find this on the website, and you can just click on it. It gives you what the information is. And it helps your joints. It's something that we produce naturally, but we stop producing it as we age. And a lot of problems can occur in our joints, in our muscles, in our flexibility. And this helps provide or replenish that. And I use a vegan version of it, also a kosher version of it. It just makes me feel better. I know that it's better for me. Organic SAMe. And it helps. It helps tremendously. Another thing is because, again, fibromyalgia and Lyme disease, all of this stuff is a lot of inflammation, chronic sinusitis, all that stuff. And your whole system is inflamed. And sometimes, and I discovered there's this thing called like guaifenesin protocol. Don't worry, it's on the website. It's on the link to this podcast. And guaifenesin, and it's spelled in the website, and you can link and get information on it. It's the supplement. It's not a supplement. It's a chemical. It's the expectorant that a lot of cold medicines use. And that expectorant helps you remove some of the excess mucus that accumulates in your sinuses and in your throat. And for some reason, it helps my inflammation. For some reason, I don't know how to explain it, and I have a little bit more mobility. And maybe it's because inadvertently it works as an anti-inflammatory. There's a lot of research on this. Please do the research. Don't take my word. Look yourself. And the protocol is very complicated. I have not done the guaifenesin protocol. It's a very specific protocol that it's very, very strict, and that's not suitable for me and my lifestyle. So again, not condoning it, just putting it out there. That's taking just the supplement itself, just the pill that's by itself, helps me get rid of some of my congestion and inflammation. At the moment, I haven't taken it, so I sound a little congested. But you want to get rid of all that stuff, that's congesting you the more the possible. The more, the better. So also another thing that I discovered is that this inflammation that I had, this sinusitis and congestion, I was taking an anti-allergy pill, and I really don't, again, for somebody who doesn't like taking pills, I'm sure I take a lot of supplements and stuff, but I have to. It's the way for me to do it on the way to health. Some people take so much more because they have to do it for whatever reason until they can live alone on whole foods and just their own healthy environment. But many of us don't have that luxury at the moment. So I took this anti-inflammatory, anti-allergy pill that worked wonders. I had a lot of pollen and allergic stuff in my environment. Lived in the middle of New York City in a very particularly polluted area, and so I had to take the generic version of an allergy medication that helped. For some reason, for me, again, it had an anti-inflammatory effect, and it helped alleviate some of the inflammation I felt and the headache that I felt. So, I still continue to take that as necessary, because anything that helps reduce some of the inflammation until we get to the root of it, by, again, diet and our environment, anything helps. And speaking of environments, as we get closer to the conclusion of the show, in addition to all of this, if you can try to keep your air in your space as clean and decluttered as possible, if you can possibly find a way of getting or using some type of air purifier that can help you. And you also have to clean the purifier and the filters. Also using, cleaning and dusting with whatever, ideally natural products that are not in any way irritating, but bleach, vinegar, lemon, and certain products to clean dust mites, and all kinds of particles that are all around us, causing us all types of inflammations and problems. It's, again, when you're in pain and you can barely move, it's tough. But if you can ease your way into cleaning a little at a time, decluttering, using the air purifier. Some people swear by salt lamps, negative ion producers. Also, people use those. So it can be little items that are not that expensive, or, if you can use that, use it. And use, again, open the windows, let some fresh air in, and, keep your environment as clean as possible, in addition to the whole self-grooming, self-hygiene issue. And that includes, your clothing and your sheets and the products that you put on you. And again, the supplements that I discussed, anything from, the histamine and anti-allergy pill that I have to take occasionally, to CBD. CBD is all the rage. But again, I would do research on that. It doesn't work for everyone. And so not everything is pure and natural or even authentic. You've got to find the research and find out where your products are coming from. And with that, we get to our last section and our conclusion. We've made it this far. We're almost there. So all of these things I've shared with you are a way of keeping ourselves healthy, to alleviating the pain, fatigue, anxiety, to actually be anti-aging agents. all of them together in unison and in balance. And it is an ongoing process. And it's also important for you to take care of yourself socially. People that you interact with, that you relate with. Friends, associates, neighbors, strangers, you name it. Work on having healthy relationships. That is a topic and a gallery of shows all in of itself. But it is important to mention. Be around people that bring and sustain your life, that help you get better, more creative, support you, help you gently correct yourself when you're going wayward in a place or places that are not healthy for you. Be open, respect each other, honor each other, and most importantly, trust your instincts when it comes to people, from family members to strangers. You're not bound to anything or anyone. You are free. You are sovereign, and you can choose who and how you interact. And if you're in danger, for example, physical danger because you're a crime victim, please contact me. We'll find resources. There are ways of getting out of it safely and carefully. There are support systems out there. And this I write from experience. All you have to do is read my memoir, and you know that I've survived domestic violence and a murder attempt. And trust me, I know it's not easy, but it can be done if it is in your life script, in your life contract. So, with that said, we have reached the end of this particular show. It's a mouthful, it's an earful, and it's an eyeful if you're reading it, but it is something I really want to impart upon you, share with you with love in my heart and the desire to just help bring relief of pain and joy, bring joy into your life. And a little anti-aging and youthfulness never hurt anyone. So, if you have any questions, again, contact me at thisisdiana.com. This show is available so you can, on podcast, you can hear it again, you can download it, you can also see it and read it in the website itself. The transcript is there, and you can read the book. You can get that in a separate way. It's also on the website. And honor yourself. Breathe, drink that water, be well, be centered. Know that there is help around you. There is love around you. You may not see it or feel it right away, but it is there. I thank you for joining me, and I ask, if you wish, please contact me. But until next time, and there will be a next time, have peace and joy with you. I wish you wholeness. Thank you for joining me. Any questions or you need to reach This is Diana, please check www.thisisdiana.com.